Okay.
I'm going to change the subject one more time.
Okay.
Property tax appraisals. I think we should go back to 4 years.
4 years.
Everybody feel that way?
I don't have a problem with 4 years. It could be 4 or 5, whatever. The issue is, I like a rolling wave type of thing, because we've actually been in a real boom for many years now, and we're not actually getting hurt as much as California and Florida and some of the other states. But it definitely needs to be pulled back. We know why it was done. It was a way of getting more revenue.
Sure.
And our governor is a proponent of that, okay? He needed money. We didn't pass another mechanism of getting revenue, so that's how we've got it. And when you're in a property bubble that we've been in, you know, it's going to really hurt people, especially the ones on fixed incomes.
You know, that brings up the, 2 years ago, the governor said we had a $1 billion surplus when he was running for governor, and part of it was from the property tax revenues. Then a year later, we tried to pass $1 billion tax increase because we're $1 billion short. I'm still trying to find this $2 billion. It would kind of solve our problem, would it not?
I think one of the things that we have to recognize is that it's the nature of government, and it continually requests more. Government continues to grow, and then the tax burden continues to increase. And so there's this constant trend to raise taxes, to have more, rather than actually looking and saying, what are we doing, what do we need to do, and what can we cut out? We continue to expand at a rate, and right now what we've seen is that we're expanding at a rate that we cannot afford. We've got too much government than what we can actually afford to support. And what it's doing is driving small business owners out of business, is driving jobs overseas,
But Roger,
and it's driving
if we
families
cut
down.
back, there's jobs that are going to be lost.
Well, you know,
Well, no, I'm not necessarily saying
being
that jobs
advocate.
are
there are jobs going to be lost if we
I'm being
cut
an
back the
advocate.
size
I'm
of
trying to
government. Because, you know, as a small business owner during these economic times, I have to look at ways to control the spending in my business to make sure that I sustain viability and that my employees, you know, keep their jobs. This is a perfect time for our government with this economic crunch. The only way we can reduce spending is going to be to reduce the size of government. They have to make some hard decisions on programs that aren't effective, that aren't vital, and that really don't bring, you know, something to the table for the citizens of this state. Legislators are going to have to make hard decisions, and if they'll make these decisions, unlike they did last year with the budget, if they'll make these decisions based on the benefit of citizens as a whole, they'll be able to keep their job because people will understand that, rather than try to pass the buck so they don't seem like the bad guy and let somebody else make the hard decision down the road. But we need to use this economic downturn to really sift out programs within our government that aren't doing what they said they were going to do, that aren't effective, and are fiscally irresponsible. We have to use this time to vet some of those things out. Otherwise, government is going to continually get bigger and larger, and you have to be aggressive about this, and we need a legislator that's willing to stand up and say enough is enough. You know, we have to do something about this because the people in the state are suffering as a whole, not just as communities, but the entire state is in a crisis. And if we don't get somebody that has enough backbone to stand up in Montgomery to address this issue, then it's not going to change.
And the resources that we are spending on inefficient and ineffective programs could be used to help us move forward. We are in a tough time. I think that's something that we have to address. We are in a tough economic time. The question is, does our legislature and our government officials have the answer? Do they understand what it's going to take to turn our economy around? One, we need to cut out ineffective and inefficient programs and redirect some of those resources to getting our economy back on the right track. Because the jobs, I mean, there are 4 types of unemployment. There's seasonal, there's natural, there's cyclical, and there's structural. Mm-hmm. We are experiencing one of the largest waves of structural unemployment since the Great Depression. And so we're going to have to look at the structure of our economy and say, hey, we can't keep wasting money over here. We're going to need these resources to get our economy back online and to make us competitive again, because globalization has occurred. these low-wage, low-skilled jobs abroad are taking us to the cleaners, and we're going to have to get back in there and really say technology is the way to go. How do we support technology? How do we stimulate the technology sector? And that's very important for the 7th District, because I think that we right here in the 7th District have the answers for our state and the answers for our nation. If we can just get government officials who understand that more taxes spent on wasteful programs is not the way. Targeted investment in our future is the way, though.
Well, and that's a good example where people need to realize that government spending is not the solution. It's citizen spending that's going to spur the economy. It's businesses that are going to spur the economy. That a lot of these government programs do not have the long-term effect. They have a short-term impact with no long-term benefit. That we have to look to the business community and the citizens by keeping taxes low so we can keep dollars in our pocket to spend the money rather than the government, because we're the ones that spend the money that affect more people as a whole rather than the government programs picking and choosing where the money goes. And a lot of times they spend money on dead-end projects where we would be spending money on effective growth of industries and businesses as a whole.
Well, one of the things that we know from economic development, one of the things we know from public administration is that government is not the economy. Government creates the mechanism for the marketplace to operate and to be an effective and efficient machine. So it is government's responsibility for securing and protecting the marketplace. And the problem that we're having is when we look at the American marketplace and compare it to the marketplace abroad, the governments abroad are subsidizing industries. The governments abroad some of them are doing better in education. Now, a small business owner who starts a technology company can't educate his employees and give them engineer degrees and then hire them. That's something that is out of his scope to do. And so what I'm saying is we need the government to effectively help us secure the marketplace, not by doing senseless programs, but doing the types of things that government is supposed to be doing, and doing it effectively and doing it efficiently, like education. We should not be spending the amount of money we're spending in education and decreasing in the number of engineers that we produce every year. That's something a small business owner can't address, but it's something that government can address. That's something that we're going to have to address our education. We cannot be competitive long term if we continue to produce less engineers, less nurses. We're not even producing enough people to teach at our own universities.
Well, we have to break that oxymoron of the term efficiency in government. Mm-hmm. We talk about the educational system is not efficient. Mm-hmm. It's government run. Okay, there's the answer. We know why it's not efficient. The government is in charge of it. It's not the minds of business owners and industries that have created jobs, and that the government just tries to pump money into it. So are you saying
privatize education?
I'm not saying privatize it, but I think what we have to be very careful that government should kind of lay the foundation and the framework and the mechanisms for the infrastructure and provide the basic services like that. But then we have to look back towards private business owners and the public in general, and let the economic climate and capitalism take over from that.
And we're in agreement on that.
And that's part of the school system.
We're going to have to end this on an agreement.
We're definitely in agreement.
We are right at 11 o'clock, and all of us need to go somewhere.
Okay, excellent.
I love the spirit of debate. I think that's what Republicans should be doing, is have this kind of conversation. And this kind of conversation lets the public know who we are and that we're serious about going to Montgomery and doing something. Thank you all for being here. And this is the first of a public forum. I hope we get to have another one. Thank Mary for being here, but maybe Sam can be here next time. So
thanks for having us.